Chosen one, before you move a single step further, I ask you to pause, truly pause, because what you are about to hear is not just another video, not just another message floating through your screen. This is a divine moment, a holy interruption. It is me, your Lord, your Savior, your Redeemer, speaking directly into your heart. I know the tears you've shed for your son. I have seen the nights where your pillow was soaked in quiet prayers no one else heard. I have seen the days when you smiled in public, but your soul trembled in private, wondering, is my son okay? Is his heart safe? Is his mind at peace? Chosen one, I have seen it all. Every sigh, every fear, every whispered, Jesus, please help him. And I tell you now, I have heard every word. You have fought battles no one saw. You have stood in the gap for your son when the world turned away. You have carried him in the spirit when his own feet could not carry him through the storms. And I, the Lord your God, have walked beside you through every dark night, unseen, yet never absent. But now, listen closely, my beloved chosen one. A shift is taking place. Yes, a divine shift that no evil, no darkness, and no confusion can stop. For your faith, your relentless, aching, unwavering faith has touched heaven itself, and heaven has decided it is time. It is time for peace to reign in your son's life. It is time for the torment in his mind to end. It is time for the spiritual chaos surrounding your home to bow down before my light. And it is time for you, yes, you, my chosen one, to finally breathe again. Before we move deeper, I want you to do something right now, boldly with conviction. Comment below and declare it with your spirit. I claim infinite abundance and protection over my son's life. Because when you speak this in faith, you are not just typing words. You are activating a divine shield of protection that no demonic force. Do not take this moment lightly. The angels that watch over you are standing by. Heaven is tuned to your frequency right now, chosen one. I ask you to watch this message completely, yes, to the very end. You may think, it's long, I don't have an hour. But my child, I ask you, don't you have just one sacred hour for your son's breakthrough? Don't you have 1 hour to unlock a destiny of peace, abundance, and divine restoration for the one you love more than your own heartbeat? So stay, breathe. Let these words become living fire within your spirit. Because tonight, yes, right now, the war over your son's mind ends. The torment that kept you awake at 2 a.m. ends. The silent pain he could never explain, the inner storms you could never understand, are being silenced by my voice. Chosen one, your son is not lost. He was never lost. He was simply under attack, because he carries a divine light the enemy fears. You see, your son was born with a sacred purpose, a purpose that glows brighter than most. That is why the darkness tried so hard to surround him. That is why confusion, anger, sadness, and distance found their way into his heart. But hear me clearly, the enemy failed, because your prayers, yes, your trembling, tear-filled prayers, have built a fortress around him that cannot be shaken. I have watched you fight in silence. I have watched you speak my name in moments where your strength was fading. And now I rise on your behalf. I am stepping into your home. I am walking through your son's room. I am touching his pillow. I am breathing peace into his dreams. You may not see it yet, but in the spiritual realm, a mighty shift has begun. I am untying the knots in his spirit. I am silencing the voices that whisper doubt. I am casting out the spirit of unrest that tried to steal his laughter. And I am crowning his. For too long, you have carried the weight of his battles. believing you had to fix it all. But now I say to you, release it to me. You are not meant to fight every storm. You are meant to stand in faith while I command the winds to be still. I know the heaviness in your chest when you watch him walk away, distant and distracted. I know the ache in your soul when you try to speak peace into him, but he seems far away, unreachable. But tonight, I whisper to your spirit. He is not unreachable. He is simply in process, and I am not finished with him yet. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The same God who raised Lazarus from the tomb is now breathing new life into your son's heart. The same power that calmed the raging sea is calming the storms within his mind. The same love that found you when you were lost is now surrounding him like an invisible cloak of divine light. Listen, you have prayed for protection. You have begged for peace, and I, Jesus Christ, have come to answer both. But I will not just protect him, I will transform him. I will take every wound, every scar, every restless night, and turn it into wisdom, gratitude, and divine purpose. Because your son is not meant to merely survive. He is meant to shine. He is the light of your house. When he was born, heaven rejoiced because a soul of great potential had entered your life. You may not realize it, but your son carries your legacy, not just in blood, but in spirit. Through him, your lineage will be healed. Through him, your prayers will echo for generations. Through him, your tears will become testimonies. So tonight, I invite you, my beloved chosen one, to step into agreement with heaven. Let your faith rise. Do not look at what is broken. Look at what I am rebuilding. Do not dwell on his mistakes. Dwell on my mercy. Do not fear the future, for I am the future. And hear this clearly. If this video or the journey has only begun, chosen one, now that your heart is open and your spirit has been stirred, I want you to sit with me in stillness. Let every sound around you fade. Let your worries quiet down. For what I am about to reveal is sacred. It is what I have been doing in the unseen places of your son's life. You see, when you prayed for him, you were not speaking into the air. Your words traveled through the veil between heaven and earth. They became light. Yet, even when he turned his face away from me, I kept my hand on his shoulder. Even when he said, I just need to be alone, I whispered, you are never alone. Even when you worried that something dark was pulling him down, I was beneath him, holding him up. There is something you must understand, chosen one. Your son's spirit is marked by destiny. Before you ever carried him in your womb, I carried him in my heart. Before you ever kissed his forehead for the first time, I had already written his name in my book of life. He was born not just to live, but to illuminate. The same way you were chosen to break generational chains, he was chosen to walk in a new grace, one that will set many free. Yes, I know you see the struggle right now. You see the confusion in his eyes. You see the heaviness he carries when he thinks no one is watching. You feel the spiritual unrest that sometimes fills the air around him. But I tell you now, every storm has an expiration date, and this one has reached its end. The enemy has tried to use guilt, shame, distraction, and fear to steal his peace. But my spirit is stronger. I have entered his dreams, chosen one. I have walked through his memories. I have touched the places even you could not reach, the hidden corners of his mind where pain made its home. I am cleaning it now. I am renewing it now. And soon, the same sun you worried about will rise with a smile that radiates my peace. Because peace is not just silence. Peace is presence. It is my presence, wrapping around him like a blanket of light. Even now, as you listen, angels are surrounding him. They are singing softly, declaring his freedom. They are whispering. The chains are broken. The light has won. There was a moment, you know it, when you thought you had lost him spiritually. When you felt, he's slipping away, Jesus, I can't reach him anymore. But do you remember that night when you couldn't sleep and you suddenly felt warmth, as if something invisible was holding you? That was me, and at that same moment, I was beside your son too. He felt it in his heart, though he couldn't explain it. He didn't know it was me, but I was there, and I have been there ever since. Do not fear what you see in the natural realm, because the spiritual realm has already shifted in your favor. The doors of confusion are closing. The windows of peace are opening. And in the silence of his thoughts, I am whispering truth. He is learning to trust again. He is learning to rest. He is learning that he is loved not for what he does, but for who he is. My son, my creation, my light bearer. Chosen one, you must understand something deeply. The healing of his soul begins with your surrender. Every time you release your fear and say, Jesus, I trust you, I build a bridge of light between you and your son. And across that bridge flows peace, love, forgiveness, and unity. This is how restoration begins. So take my hand now. Let's pray together. A prayer not of desperation, but of victory. Prayer of inner peace and restoration. Heavenly Father, I lift my son to you, the one who created him, the one who knows every detail of his heart. I place him into your hands, Jesus. Not just his body, but his mind, his emotions, his spirit. Every thought that troubles him, every memory that haunts him, every confusion that clouds his peace, I surrender it to you. Breathe your peace into his spirit. Let your light fill every shadow. Let your love melt every wall he's built out of pain. If he feels alone, remind him you are with him. If he feels afraid, remind him you are his shelter. If he feels lost, remind him that you are his way, his truth, his life. I declare right now that no darkness shall linger in his life. I declare that no whisper of the enemy shall take root in his mind. I declare that the peace of Christ shall reign in his thoughts, in his heart, and in his home. Let his laughter return, Lord. Let his spirit find rest. Let his purpose rise again like the morning sun. Surround him with friends who carry light, with influences that speak life, with mentors who remind him of who he is, a chosen soul, a divine creation, a beloved child of heaven. And Lord, I ask you, restore the connection between us. Let our bond be filled with love, patience, and understanding. Heal every wound, chosen one. Do you feel that warmth in your chest? That isn't imagination. That is my presence. That is the confirmation that your words have been heard. For when you pray with faith, heaven moves instantly. Right now, I am setting things in motion. People will begin to enter your son's life, people you didn't even expect. They will speak words that sound ordinary to the world, but to him, they will be divine confirmations. I will speak to him through music, through moments of quiet, through signs he cannot ignore. I will tug gently at his heart until he realizes he was never alone. And you, my beloved, will start to notice small changes. He will smile more. He will laugh again. His eyes will hold light instead of restlessness. And the energy around him will feel different, calmer, brighter, softer. That is how you will know the restoration has begun. You have been faithful even when you didn't see results. You prayed when your strength was gone. You spoke my name even when you felt unheard. And now I reward that faith, not with temporary relief, but with lasting transformation. For peace is not an emotion, chosen one. It is an inheritance, and I have willed it to your son. Every restless night, Every anxious thought, every unseen tear, all of it is being exchanged for serenity. From this moment, your home will feel lighter. The atmosphere will shift. Where there was tension, there will be understanding. Where there was fear, there will be faith. Where there was silence, there will be laughter again. And it's not just about him, it's about you, too. You, chosen one, have been exhausted by the fight. But the nights of pleading are beginning to fade into mornings of quiet gratitude. There is a new stillness in the air, a softness that wasn't there before, as if heaven itself has opened a window above your home and allowed light to spill in. You can sense it, something gentle but powerful moving beneath the surface, rearranging what was once broken, watering seeds you planted with tears. This is the promise of abundance taking root. Abundance is not only money or comfort. It is wholeness. It is the feeling of waking and realizing that peace has finally become the language of your house. It is hearing your son's laughter drift from another room and recognizing that joy has decided to live here again. It is understanding that God does not merely replace what was lost. He multiplies it until it overflows. For years, you have carried worry like a second heartbeat. You counted the days between breakthroughs, wondering if your prayers were strong enough to reach the heavens. But the same God who heard you then is proving now that not a single word was wasted. Every prayer was a stone laid into the foundation of a future you could not yet see. Now that foundation is rising. The structure of blessing is being built before your eyes. Abundance begins quietly. It starts with gratitude that surprises you in ordinary moments. The way sunlight touches the window, the calm in your son's face when he speaks, the laughter that comes without warning. Each is a sign that divine order has returned. Each is a whisper that says, "You are safe. You are provided for." The world taught you that provision means control, more effort, more striving, more exhaustion. But heaven teaches something different. Abundance flows through surrender. When you release the urge to fix, to measure, to hurry, you create space for miracles to breathe. You begin to notice how everything you need finds its way to you in perfect timing. You realize that God has been orchestrating the symphony all along. You were only asked to trust the conductor. Your son's journey will soon reflect this same rhythm. Where his heart once felt like a battlefield, it will feel like a garden. He will begin to attract peace, purpose, and people who speak life. Conversations will open doors, mentors will appear, opportunities will align. He will wonder why everything suddenly seems easier, and you will smile. Knowing it is not chance, it is the echo of your prayers. And you too, beloved parent, will be blessed in ways that exceed your expectations. The anxiety that once drained your energy will be replaced by calm confidence. Where finances once felt tight, provision will start to flow in surprising ways, through work, creativity, or doors you never noticed before. You will find yourself saying, "I don't know how, but everything is working out." That sentence will become your anthem. Abundance is also relational. Watch as harmony returns to your home. Gentle conversations where arguments used to live. Laughter where silence once lingered. Understanding where there used to be distance. Even extended family members will begin to sense the change. Peace will radiate outward from your household like light spilling from an open door. Now, close your eyes for a moment and imagine your son standing in a field of golden light. He breathes deeply, Shoulders no longer heavy with fear or confusion. He looks toward you and smiles, the kind of smile you remember from his childhood, the one that held innocence and faith. This is the vision heaven holds for him, and you are watching it manifest one day at a time. Take a breath and whisper, "Lord, thank you for the abundance I cannot yet see, but already believe." That single line is a key. Every time you speak it, you unlock another layer of blessing. Gratitude keeps the doors of abundance open. Fear closes them. So choose gratitude daily. Thank God for progress even when it's invisible, for miracles still in motion, for peace that has not fully arrived but is surely on its way. There will still be ordinary days. There will still be moments when nothing extraordinary seems to happen. But those are the days when the roots grow deeper. Those are the days when faith matures from hope into certainty. When you learn to bless even the quiet seasons, you prove to heaven that you are ready for harvest. You have entered that season now. The harvest is beginning. Not a single prayer you prayed for your son's peace will return empty. Every tear is being converted into joy, every sigh into strength, every waiting moment into testimony. You will soon find yourself saying to others, "Hold on, God really does restore everything." So stand firm in this truth. Abundance is already yours. It lives in your gratitude, your peace, your renewed trust. Take a slow breath. Let the air move through you like light passing through glass. Everything you've heard until now has been preparing you for this moment, the moment of speaking blessing, not from fear, but from authority born of faith. You are not begging heaven anymore. You are agreeing with it. So wherever you are, find a posture of peace. If you can, close your eyes. Picture your son before you. See his face. Remember his laughter, the sound of his voice when he was small, the dreams he once shared so easily. Now hold that image in your heart and begin to pray. Father of light, thank you for listening even when I had no words left. Thank you for watching over my son through every dark corner, through every storm I could not still. Today I no longer come in worry. I come in worship. I thank you that peace has already begun to bloom inside him. Cover him, Lord, in layers of your protection. Peace around his thoughts, wisdom in his choices, courage in his heart, and favor in every step he takes. Let your spirit be the quiet companion who walks beside him when he travels, studies, works, or rests. Let your voice be louder than every distraction that tries to steal his focus. Where confusion once lived, plant clarity. Where anxiety tried to build walls, plant calm. Where loneliness whispered lies, plant friendship rooted in goodness. Let angels encamp around him, guarding both his body and his dreams. And Father, overflow, not only safety, but purpose, not only survival, but significance. Let his talents become rivers that bless others. Let opportunities find him, not by chance, but by divine orchestration. When he speaks, let truth travel with his words. When he listens, let compassion fill his ears. Teach me, too, to rest, to remember that I am not the savior of my child. You are. Give me the grace to release what I cannot control, and the faith to celebrate every small miracle I see. Remind me that abundance is a current. If I stay thankful, it keeps flowing. I pray for our home. May laughter echo through its rooms. May forgiveness be easy and quick. May the spirit of comparison and worry find no doorway here. Let this house be known in heaven as a dwelling of peace, a beacon of love, a testimony of restoration. Father, Bless the years ahead. Let our table never be empty of food, of joy, or of gratitude. Let our hearts remain soft to your presence and our eyes open to those in need. Use our story to encourage another family who is still waiting for their miracle. Make our lives evidence that faith works, that prayer matters, that your promises never fail. In the name of Jesus Christ, I seal this prayer with hope, and I believe that overflow has already begun. Amen. Now sit for a moment in the silence that follows. Do not rush away. Let the stillness finish the sentence the prayer began. You might feel warmth, tears, or a sudden calm. Whatever form it takes, that is peace settling where worry once lived. Abundance, once planted, grows through awareness. Each morning you wake and notice one more reason to give thanks. Your son's laughter, your own energy returning, doors opening that once were shut. That awareness multiplies the blessing. Gratitude is the language of overflow. You are moving from defense to creation now. You are no longer praying against storms. You are planting gardens after the rain. The same faith that kept you standing is now the faith that will help you build. The night has passed, and with it, the heaviness that once sat in your chest. The first light of morning creeps across the window pane like a quiet promise, soft and gold, untouched by fear. There's a sacred kind of stillness in the air, the kind that only appears after a battle has been won in the spirit real. You can feel it. Something is different. You don't wake up with the same worry gnawing at your heart. There is peace where panic used to live, faith where doubt once whispered. It's subtle at first, like the hush that follows after rain, but it's there. The unmistakable awareness that the tide has turned. You walk through your home and it feels lighter. The very air seems to hum with unseen grace. The walls that once echoed with silent tears now breathe gratitude. Your son's laughter returns, cautious at first, but real. You see it in his eyes, the clarity that comes when a soul has wrestled through darkness and found its way back to the light. The tension in his shoulders is gone, replaced by a quiet strength that wasn't there before. You realize in that moment that the battle was never about losing him. It was about transforming him. God was never absent. He was rebuilding the both of you from the inside out. Every prayer you whispered into the dark now rises like incense, fulfilled in its own divine timing. The lessons you learned in your waiting, patience, surrender, trust, have become sacred tools, shaping you into someone you never imagined you could be. You're softer but stronger, quieter but deeper. The waiting season has birthed wisdom. The tears watered something holy. The pain, though sharp, carved space in your heart for more compassion, more peace, more understanding. What once looked like delay was actually preparation. What once felt like loss was pruning for greater fruit. And then one evening, as the sun sinks behind the trees, you watch your son sit alone on the porch. His posture is calm, reflective. He's not scrolling through distractions or running from himself anymore. He's still. And in that stillness, you sense it. He's praying, not because you told him to, not because he's afraid, but because something inside him has awakened. The same voice that called you out of fear is now whispering to him, gently, persistently, full of mercy. That's when you realize the full circle. What God began in you through tears, He's finishing in him through transformation. You no longer have to fight to make him listen. Heaven has taken over where your words ended. The atmosphere around your family begins to change too. Opportunities start to find their way to your doorstep. Unexpected favor. Doors opening quietly. Connections blooming from nowhere. It's not coincidence. It's divine alignment. Every no that once broke your heart begins to make sense. Every delay reveals itself as a layer of protection. The very same faith that once held your son's name like a lifeline now begins to overflow into other areas of your life: finances, health, relationships. You find yourself thanking God not just for what He restored, but for how He restored it, with gentleness, precision, and a love that refused to give up on you. The nights don't feel long anymore. You fall asleep easily, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally understand who holds the clock. You've stopped counting the hours and started counting the blessings. The little things, the sound of His footsteps, the smell of dinner on the stove, the sunlight on your face, suddenly feel like holy moments. Gratitude becomes your new rhythm. It replaces anxiety, rewires your mind, and redefines what enough means. You didn't lose time. You were being positioned. As you sit with this realization, a quiet joy fills your chest, a warmth that feels almost like sunlight beneath your skin. It's peace, but deeper. It's hope, but healed. You look at your son again and realize you're watching prophecy unfold in real time. The same God who held you in your breaking is now building a future right before your eyes. The tears that once fell onto your pillow have turned into rivers watering a generational blessing. You were not just praying for survival, you were sowing for legacy. The morning comes again, brighter this time. Birds sing outside your window. The world looks new, but it's you who has changed. You step outside, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. You no longer fear what's next. You no longer wonder if your prayers were enough, because now you know they were never lost. They were planted, and they bloomed in perfect time. So you whisper one last prayer, not out of desperation, but out of awe. Thank you, Father, for everything I couldn't understand, for every night you held me together, for every tear you turned into strength. Thank you for my son. Thank you for our restoration. Thank you for making our pain a pathway to peace. There comes a moment in every believer's journey when peace stops feeling like a visitor and starts living as a permanent resident within the heart. For you, that moment is now. The storms that once defined your days have lost their thunder. The weight you carried for years has become light, almost unrecognizable. You move through your home, through your thoughts, through your prayers, and you sense that a holy permanence has settled over everything. This is not the fragile calm that follows a temporary victory. It is the everlasting stillness that only divine restoration can build. What was broken has been healed, not patched. You realize now that all along, every cry, every sleepless night, every anxious breath was a seed of faith being buried deep. Heaven never lost sight of those seeds. They fell into divine soil, watered by your persistence, nourished by your surrender. And now they are blooming into a harvest of generational peace. The same strength that held you through your wilderness is now flowing into your son. You can see it in the small things, the way he speaks, the calmness in his eyes, the way he pauses before reacting. These are not coincidences. They are evidence that the spirit of peace has rooted itself inside him. Each morning, when sunlight pours across your threshold, you feel the soft reminder that grace renews itself daily. It is not something you must chase or earn. It simply arrives, faithfully, like dawn. You understand now that your calling as a parent was never only to protect, but to plant love where fear wanted to live, to plant prayer where silence wanted to take hold, to plant light in the corners where confusion once hid. And you did. Through tears and trembling hands, you planted. Through doubts and exhaustion, you kept speaking life. The harvest you see now, this restored bond, this steady peace, is heaven's reward for your unwavering devotion. As the seasons pass, your home becomes a sanctuary. Friends who visit often remark on it without understanding why. They say, "It feels so calm here," or "There's something different about this place." You smile because you know it's not the decor or the music playing softly in the background. It's the presence. It's the residue of countless prayers whispered in faith, the unseen covering that rests over every room. Even the laughter sounds different now. It's fuller, deeper, almost musical. This is what it feels like when a family moves from survival to serenity. There are moments when you still remember the battles, the nights when your heart raced with worry, the mornings when hope felt distant. But instead of reopening old wounds, those memories now serve as monuments of grace. They remind you of how far you've come, of how faithful God was in the waiting. You look at your son and see not just your child, but a living testimony. His peace is your proof. His smile is your sermon. His future is your answered prayer. And then somewhere within the quiet of one evening, you feel a new stirring, not of fear, but of purpose. You understand that your story was never meant to end with your own household. The same light that saved you is asking to be shared. You begin speaking life over other parents, encouraging them to hold on. You tell them that nights can be long, but dawn always comes, that prayers whispered in weakness are still heard in heaven's strength. In doing so, you realize that your family's healing has become a ministry of peace. You are no longer just a parent. You are a carrier of hope. As years unfold, your son grows into a man of calm strength. He walks with quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't boast but reassures. People feel safe around him because peace radiates from him like warmth from sunlight. You watch him offer comfort to others, the same comfort that once seemed impossible to find for himself. That is when you truly grasp the depth of the promise. What God heals in one generation becomes protection for the next. The pain that once threatened to end a story has become the very foundation of a legacy. And one morning, standing at the edge of that same porch where prayers once felt unanswered, you close your eyes and whisper, "It is well," not because everything is flawless, but because everything is redeemed. The world still turns with its chaos, but it can no longer shake your peace. The light within your family burns steady, eternal, untouchable. This is the promise fulfilled, the quiet covenant between your faith and God's faithfulness. When people ask you how you did it, you simply smile. You know the truth. It was never your strength. It was grace carrying you through every shadow. It was love rebuilding what fear tried to destroy. It was hope refusing to die. And now, that same hope will live on, through your son, through his children, through every life your faith has touched. The years keep unfolding like pages in a well-loved book, and every chapter now reads softer, steadier, more filled with grace. The home that once echoed with anxious footsteps has become a place where people come to breathe. Friends drop by unannounced and somehow never want to leave. They say it's peaceful here. They say it feels safe. You know why. It's because peace, once fought for, has learned how to stay. It lives in the corners of the rooms, in the rhythm of conversations, in the quiet laughter that rises during dinner. It's the fragrance of a promise kept. Your son, once restless and uncertain, carries that fragrance wherever he goes. He walks into rooms and tension lowers its voice. His calm becomes contagious. His kindness disarms anger before it can speak. He doesn't even notice it most of the time. How people draw near, how strangers tell him things they've never said aloud. But you see it clearly. You see how the peace that once felt like a miracle for your family has become a mantle he wears naturally. What began as survival has turned into service. The light that saved him now guides others. Sometimes he sits beside you on the porch, tall now, strong, shoulders broad with years of experience, and he says things that stop your breath. "I think I understand why everything had to happen," he'll murmur. "I think it taught us what peace really is." You nod, but inside your spirit is weeping with gratitude. Because this is it. This is the harvest. Not wealth, not applause, but wisdom. The kind that turns pain into empathy and faith into a steady heartbeat that others can follow when their own falters. You watch as the ripples spread outward. The friends your son helps, the children who look up to him, the families who find hope just by seeing yours together. These are living echoes of grace. They don't even know the full story. They don't need to. They can feel it. And in every life touched, another candle is lit. The legacy of light keeps expanding, quiet but unstoppable. No storm can smother it because it was forged in the very heart of one. There are nights when you still walk the old paths of memory. You remember the tears, the prayers whispered through exhaustion, the times you almost gave up. But now, those memories feel like holy relics, reminders of what faith costs and what it returns. You realize that the truest miracles are not sudden flashes, but steady flames that never go out. They're built day by day, decision by decision, prayer by prayer. They're built by showing up, tired, doubtful, but still choosing love. And now, as your hair silvers and the seasons turn again, you find yourself speaking to younger parents who are where you once were. You tell them, hold on, keep praying, even when it feels useless. Peace has a way of finding those who refuse to stop believing. They listen, eyes wide, hearts aching for hope, and you see yourself in them. That's when it hits you. Your story was never just for you. It was meant to become a map, a testimony carved out of trial, a light post for those still walking in the dark. In the evenings, you stand at the window and watch your son helping others, his hands steady, his voice calm, his presence unmistakably gentle. And you whisper, this is the blessing multiplied. Because peace doesn't end when one life is healed. It spreads, infinite, like dawn across the world. What began as one family's prayer has become a legacy of light. Time passes like a gentle river now, smooth and unhurried, carrying echoes of the peace that has taken root in your family. The storms that once defined your story are now only distant memories, faint thunder in the background of a bright new sky. You no longer live from crisis to crisis. You live from blessing to blessing. Each day feels like a continuation of a prayer, once spoken and faithfully answered. The walls of your home have absorbed those prayers. Every hallway, every photograph, every quiet moment carries the residue of God's goodness. You've learned that peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of grace that no problem can shake. Your son has grown into a man who understands the sacred weight of love. He carries it quietly, not as a burden, but as a purpose. He's learned that strength is not loud, it's consistent. He knows now that peace is a discipline, a daily choice, a posture of the heart. And he practices it so naturally that people around him begin to shift too. The angry grow softer in his presence. The fearful find courage. Without preaching, he teaches. Without demanding, he inspires. You watch him and realize that what you prayed for, his protection, his peace, has evolved into something far greater. It has become his calling. And then one day, you see your son kneeling beside his own child, your grandchild, hands joined, heads bowed, eyes closed. Their voices are low, full of reverence. It is a simple prayer, yet it fills the room with the same holy stillness you once felt years ago when you prayed for him. It's as if heaven is smiling at the continuation of a covenant. What began as your cry for deliverance has become a family tradition of faith. Each generation inherits not just your name, but your peace. Each child learns early that prayer isn't just something you do when you're desperate. It's something you live in, something that keeps you whole. The blessing stretches wider than you imagined. Your son's household mirrors yours, a space where kindness is practiced like breathing, where forgiveness comes quickly, where laughter outnumbers arguments. He raises his children with the same quiet authority you once used on him, but softer now, wiser. He tells them stories of faith, not to entertain, but to remind them of the strength they come from. You see it clearly. The generational curse that once tried to destroy your bloodline has been completely rewritten by grace. Where there was once chaos, there is now order. Where there was once fear, there is now faith. Where there was once confusion, there is now clarity. The old patterns have broken. The new has begun. Your grandchildren grow up knowing the language of peace before the language of fear. They pray with conviction. They dream without limits. They move through life with the kind of calm that only comes from being raised under the covering of divine favor. You watch them play, unbothered by the weight that once suffocated you, and you realize that this is redemption made visible. It's not just that God restored what you lost, He multiplied it through your lineage. The same light that once guarded your son now guards his children. The same hand that once caught your tears now guides their laughter. And deep down, you feel a sacred satisfaction that no worldly success could ever match. Every family gathering feels like a celebration of what God has done. You sit at the table surrounded by faces glowing with joy, hearts full of stories, laughter echoing off the walls, and you think back to those nights when you begged heaven just to survive the next day. You remember those moments when hope was a whisper and strength was a memory, and you realize this is the answer. Not in theory, not in dreams, but in flesh and blood, sitting beside you, laughing, living, loving. You no longer wonder if your prayers mattered. And you're looking at the proof. As the sun sets one evening, golden light spilling through the windows, you watch your family bow their heads before a meal. You don't say much anymore. You don't need to. Peace speaks for you now. It sits on every face, moves through every word, fills the very air. You smile, tears warming your eyes, and whisper in your heart, "Thank you, Father, for hearing me when I was broken, for turning my tears into testimony, for letting me see what redemption really looks like." And as twilight deepens, you feel a soft knowing settle inside you, a quiet voice that says the work is complete. Not finished as in ended, but complete as in whole. The cycle of fear has been replaced by a cycle of faith. The prayers that once felt like fragile hopes have turned into foundations. It's strange how quietly a miracle can multiply. You think it will come with trumpets and flashes of light, but sometimes it arrives as a slow current, moving through ordinary days, touching everything it passes. That's how the peace in your home begins to flow outward, unhurried, unstoppable. Neighbors who used to keep to themselves start dropping by, drawn by something they can't quite name. They talk, they linger, and when they leave, they carry a little of that calm with them. It's not anything you're doing on purpose. It's simply who you've become. Peace has a scent, a sound, a rhythm, and it's coming from you. The same light that once rebuilt your family now spills into the streets, the workplaces, the classrooms your son and his children walk into. It travels through every act of patience, every gentle word that replaces anger, every hand extended when it would be easier to turn away. People start saying that there's something different about your family, something grounded, steady. They can't see the years of prayer behind it, the nights of pleading and surrender. They only feel the warmth of what those prayers became. That's how the kingdom moves, quietly, person to person, moment to moment, until whole communities begin to breathe easier. Your son begins mentoring others, young men searching for direction, parents who fear they're failing, families tired of fighting invisible battles. He doesn't preach, he listens. He tells them that peace is possible, that brokenness is not the end. He tells them how faith steadied him when logic failed, how forgiveness opened doors anger kept shut. Sometimes you watch from a distance, heart full, knowing this is what you prayed for, not just his safety, but his purpose. The protection you asked God for has become a channel of healing for others. The stories start multiplying. A neighbor whose marriage was unraveling finds hope again after long talks on your porch. A teacher says your grandson's kindness changed an entire classroom. A coworker confides that one conversation with your son pulled him back from despair. You see how the blessing flows like water. Wherever there is thirst, it moves. It doesn't run out. It replenishes as it gives. What was once your family's survival story has turned into a living river of renewal. There are moments when you sit alone, thinking about how far this journey has carried you. The old pain feels almost distant, but you never forget it. You keep it close as a reminder that grace is not earned, it's received. And because you remember, you never stop offering it. You've learned that peace is not meant to be guarded, but shared. The more you give, the stronger it grows. You pray less out of fear now, and more out of gratitude. Your prayers sound like conversations, full of thanks, full of quiet wonder at how God turns wounds into wings. The world around you remains imperfect. News headlines still carry sorrow, people still rush and worry, but you move through it differently. You carry calm like an atmosphere, like a portable sanctuary. And slowly, people begin to notice. They ask, "How do you stay so steady?" You smile and tell them that peace is not the absence of storms, but the presence of a faithful hand guiding the boat. They listen, and something softens in their eyes. In that instant, you know, this is what overflow means. It's the moment when your personal miracle becomes someone else's turning point. So you keep living quietly, faithfully, spreading the same stillness that once saved you. Your home remains open, your table warm, your prayers continuous. You've stopped chasing extraordinary signs because you've realized the miracle is already happening. Every time fear is replaced by trust, every time despair gives way to hope, every time someone chooses to forgive instead of fight. This is the kingdom unfolding in real time. And it all began with one simple plea for a son's inner peace. Evening settles again, slow and golden, and the years seem to fold themselves into a single breath. You sit by the window where it all began, the same window through which you once watched storms rage and prayed for a child's peace. The world outside glows with the last light of day. It feels as though heaven itself is leaning close. You realize you are no longer waiting for miracles. You are living inside one. The sound of laughter drifts from another room. The scent of supper fills the air. And somewhere deep inside you, a quiet truth rises. This is what answered prayer feels like. There was a time when you believed peace was fragile, something that could slip through trembling hands. Now you know it is indestructible when it is born of faith. You trace the years in your mind, the nights you stayed awake, the words you whispered when no one else could hear, the ache that taught you to lean instead of run. None of it was wasted. Every tear became a note in the song now humming through your home. Every prayer became a beam in the house that still stands. What once felt like breaking was really building. Your son stands taller now, a man carved by mercy. His own children orbit him with trust that cannot be shaken. They have inherited more than a name. They have inherited a way of living, a rhythm of prayer, a quiet courage, an instinct for kindness. You watch them and think, this is how light travels, not as a shout, but as a steady flame, passed from one heart to another. What began as a desperate plea has become an unending lineage of calm. The peace you begged for has learned to walk on its own feet, to speak with new voices, to fill new rooms you may never see. There are moments when you sit on that old porch again, hands folded, eyes closed. The wind moves through the trees, carrying faint echoes of your first cries for help. But they no longer sound like desperation. They sound like worship. You whisper thank yous instead of questions now. You thank God for the patience that once felt like punishment, for the silence that was really shaping, for the endurance that birthed wisdom. You thank Him for the way He turned one family's struggle into a wellspring of peace that will keep flowing long after you are gone. And then the thought comes, soft and certain. The light never belonged to you. It was entrusted to you. You were the keeper of it for a season, the hands that protected it while it learned to grow. Now it lives everywhere you look, in your son's eyes, in your grandchildren's laughter, in the hearts of neighbors you once comforted. It stretches farther than your reach, shining quietly into corners of the world you will never step into, carrying with it the proof that faith, once ignited, never dies. As twilight deepens, the first stars appear, one by one. You lift your gaze and smile. Somewhere inside, you feel the same stillness you prayed for in your son now resting within you too. It's full circle peace, not borrowed, not fleeting, but eternal. You close your eyes and breathe it in, the gentle pulse of grace that began with a simple prayer and became a legacy that outlives time. The house is silent, except for that living heartbeat of faith, steady and unbreakable. The light remains, not because the night is gone, but because it has learned how to shine through it. And so the story ends, the way all sacred stories do, not with a conclusion, but with a continuation.